Rita and I have a special opportunity today to spend a few minutes with a young family who recently was served here and supported here at the Kiwanis Family House. Erik and Alicia from Red Bluff, California, have agreed to share their very compelling story with us. And we think we do a good job of telling our story here at the Kiwanis Family House, but nobody tells our story quite as effectively as the families who've been served here. Erik, if you could kind of walk us back through the early part of this story and particularly the circumstances that brought you to Sacramento.
It started with us taking Alicia, my wife, down to Mercy Medical Center in Redding, California. We were kind of suspicious of her water being broke. It wasn't completely known at that point, but we got her down there and immediately found out that her water was ruptured at 18 weeks. We were under the observation of the hospital doctors down there, plus the doctors from UC Davis Medical Center. It's an affiliate hospital. And they decided after her being down there for about a week that she was at the point of about 19 and a half weeks, almost 20 weeks, and they wanted to get her down to Sacramento, just under the assumptions of if anything was to happen, you know, there'd be better care for the baby and better care for her. So they made the decision to life flight her from Redding, California to Sacramento. I think the day that I arrived here, I was here about an hour when we got results that our son had a triple heart defect and would probably never live to see 10 minutes.
So between Christmas and New Year's Eve, something happened.
I remember, you know, she started getting pain throughout the afternoon and couldn't figure out what it was and what it transpired to be. And, you know, so I went and got her Tylenol at like 7:30 that night, not, you know, knowing what was wrong. And I remember getting the text message that my daughter needed some milk, and you know she was in the room. So I went back to the room to go see what was going on, and found her crouched over, and had to run up and call 911. And one of the ladies that we had met here, Candy, she immediately came over to my room and took my daughter and took her bed and took her clothes and her diapers and said, "Don't worry about it, I got her," you know. And I kept remembering throughout my whole stay here of like, what am I going to do when this day comes? What am I going to do with my daughter? Where am I going to put her when this day comes? If we didn't have that, I don't know where we would have been, you know, because it was such a fast occurring thing, and we didn't even know if it was a boy or a girl, you know. And it was almost immediate. I remember they wheeled her in, and it was probably a minute and a half. I had enough time to walk out, catch my breath, and walk around the corner, and they already had him on a cart. And I remember the nurses walking up asking me if I wanted to see my son, and I was stopped, and I was like, "My son?" And they're like, "Yeah, you're having a boy, or you had a boy." And I was like, "Whoa," you know. And then that's when they told me. They said, we're giving him an hour. So, you know, we had to prepare. And
so he lived 4 days.
Yeah, he was born on the 28th, and he passed away on the 31st at 4:01.
Which was New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve, yeah.
You know, and as a mom, it was hard. You know, as a mom, you know, you don't want to let your kid ever go, you know, so it was hard. Sorry.
Could you imagine having this experience without a place like the Kiwanis Family House?
We would have been in our van. I mean, there's no other, we live 3 hours away. There's no other way. I mean, you're going to do what you're going to have to do. And without a facility like this, I probably would have been sleeping in my van. You know, we came down. I remember the day we came down, I had $40 to my name. And she asked me, "What are you going to do? What are you going to do?" I said, "Guess what?" I said, "It's in God's hands." I said, "I'm going to fill up the van and I'm going to drive down. And when I get there, I'm going to do whatever I can. And if we'll figure out how to get home when it's time to figure out how to get home." You know, and so without this, we would have, you know, I probably would have been sleeping in my van with my 1-year-old. I mean, what else more can you do? You know, so, and without this place and the family support, and, you know, as supportive as it was here for us to stay, we would have never made it through. You know, we would have never got by. It would have been a really hard struggle, and it probably would have been the hardest was the hardest time of our life, but it would have been even harder.